Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. This is the Real Spiel NBA show presented by the Real Spiel podcast, of course. I'm your host, Roman Kelly, joined by my co-host, Trevor Kelsey, my other co-host, Will Wigginton, and our newly introduced co-host, Mr. Nasir Sheik, a.k.a. Glizz, a.k.a. Glizzy, a.k.a. Nasir, a.k.a. Mr. Money, a.k.a. the Parlay Man. Shout out to Nasir. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. You're going to be obviously a new personality on the NBA show. Diehard Celtics fan up in Cincinnati doing some sports media work up there, and just being this pro sports better you are. Thank you for joining on the show. How are you, sir?
I'm kind of shitty right now. You feel me? Celtics lost, but I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
Happy to get to it, man. You know, I've always been tapped into you. You know how you are, big personality on the show and everything. Yeah, U of L, shitty ass Cardinals, but that's a different topic, you know.
Yep.
I'm trolling.
We'll get you on the.
I'm trolling.
Hold on. We're going to rewind. Rewind a little bit. You're not a little fan. That's fine.
I like little.
You're not.
Nah. I'm an Ohio State guy. I grew up Ohio State, everything. I spent time.
Ohio State. Oh, I can handle Ohio State. That's fine.
It's Louisville over in Kentucky.
I spent. I lived in
Trevor's an Ohio State respect.
Good.
But you respect
way more than
Louisville. You
UK
know what they're
stuff.
doing.
I got respect for Louisville.
You go to U of L football games and stuff.
Basketball.
So yeah, I was gonna say I guess you're more of a U of L football fan than basketball fan. But glad to have you on the show. Will also obviously a co-host on the show. Will, how are you doing?
Pretty good, man. Finished up with the semester, even though summer classes start next week. So not looking forward to that. But hey, at least I got a few days left.
Mr. Education, yeah, you've got a lot you've got going on. So I really, you do a lot with your work, you do a lot with your schooling, and then you still come on and offer to be a personality on the show whenever we're going live. So I appreciate you. And good luck with glad your finals went well. Good luck with the summer classes. That does not sound
we need Will to stay in school because he's gonna be the one sponsoring this shit in like 6 weeks.
Exactly. He's gonna be working for a company that
I'll be done in December. I'll be done in December, so maybe I'll hit you.
All right, next time in January.
Trev, been a minute. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Real Spiel NBA show as well.
I mean, I'm doing fine, thank you. You didn't ask me how I'm doing.
I was about to say, I hope you're doing well. How are you doing?
I'm super. I mean, listen, as a Pacers fan, I'm up 2-0. We've already put the death punch to Cleveland, and now the only team I even feared in the East to get to the NBA Finals is doing what they do best, beating themselves like a teenager in a bathroom learning to lock the door. That's it. It's beautiful. Well, the path. I mean, listen, I'm not overlooking the Knicks too much because the Knicks have cost me some pain and suffering in my lifetime, mostly before all three of you were born, but yet nonetheless still suffered from it. And I hate the fucking Knicks, but I ain't worried about them. I'll take on the Knicks again because guess what? And they might not have Randall when we beat them in 7 last year. We didn't have Mathurin either, and we're a better team this year. I'm loving it. We'll cross that bridge.
I got a problem with Rick Carlisle, though.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna wrap
when we talk about the Pacers.
Rick's done some weird stuff this series.
Dude, Rick Carlisle, I'm right now. I'm going to say this: the first to press this. Pacers will be the first team in NBA history to have a women's head coach here within the next 3 years. I don't remember her. I can't remember her name, but the girl she's been Rick Carlisle's assistant since like the last 6 years. Carlisle doesn't even coach that team half the time. I think she's every time I've watched this team play over the last year and a half or so, she's the one talking to the guys on the bench. I think it's Jenny something. I think mark it down. Pacers will have a women's head coach within 4 years. She's going to take over for Carlisle when he retires after we win the title this year.
Okay, if you guys win a title this year, then I can believe this happening. Now,
hey, it didn't shock you. The Pacers once have offered a woman a contract, an NBA contract.
Her name is Jenny Buchek.
Okay. Jenny was Jenny something. Okay. I'll remember it when she gets the head coaching job.
Shout out to Nick Coffey in the chat. Says big vibes. Shout out to my guy Trevor Kelsey. You're in the presence of legend, fellas. We are definitely in the presence of a legend. We've gotten to experience that in quite some different few ways. Appreciate you, Nick, for tapping in and dropping some comments down in the chat, saying he's bringing the heat as well. Phil, we appreciate you being in the chat. Roddy Richards also joining from Twitch. Roddy, appreciate you joining up from the Twitch link. You seem to be our consistent Twitch viewer, but appreciate you joining up there. Appreciate Nick being in the chat for sure. We're going to get right into it, really. I do want to let people know what we're going to kind of discuss because I want to keep us on the outline, fellas. We're going to get in the Eastern Conference first because obviously Gliz is our diehard Celtics fan, new co-host. We have a fresh reaction to a game tonight that is finished. Obviously, the Nuggets and Thunder are still playing right now. Fellas, I don't sound too loud right now.
You sound smooth for real. It sounds good on my end.
All right. I'm trying to stay the right distance from the mic, but still figuring it all out. Got my gain control here. But we're going to start in the Eastern Conference. Celtics, we're going to react to that. I want to talk about the Pacers because obviously we've got our diehard Pacers fan in the conversation with us in Trevor Kelsey. We're going to get his thoughts and opinions on what's going on in that series and how they've gotten to this 2-0 lead. Will, not a fan of a specific team, but is just a ball lover, NBA guy, kind of more so a fan of players in the NBA and just likes following the better players in the league. So
who did Turkoglu, remember that when he did the post-game press conference? He was like, ball.
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that.
It was during the Magic days. They asked him a question or something.
Final team.
He had a few weird interviews like that, actually. The score of the Thunder Nuggets, Will, you got it. It's behind you there.
84-51 Thunder with 37 seconds left in the first half. So
turn
back
that
to the
off.
woodshed. That's for sure.
Turn on Netflix. That's what that means. Turn on Netflix.
Yeah, you must go stream something. Exactly.
We
were a Big Bang Theory on or something.
We're going to jump into the West after that. Obviously, discuss that second, but we're going to get into the Warriors getting out to a 1-0 lead. This game's going on right now. We know the Nuggets have a 1-0 lead, but we're hard to discuss what we think is going on in that series when Game 2 is currently happening. And a team, the lower seed home team, just technically handled business by winning a game on the road. So when you get to a big deficit like this, it's not a surprise at all when you kind of just tap out a little bit because mission's accomplished when we can go back home 1-1. Obviously, I don't like that though, fellas. I don't like that mindset. We're going to get into that though. I just think if you have a chance to go up 2-0, you need to come out into game 2 like it's a do or die.
It's your body though. You naturally relax though, bro. Like it's like you stole game 1, like, and then it's just like even if you lose game 2, you in the back of your mind you like, but we about to take his flight to the crib.
Yeah,
like we good. We already walked in their trap and took them off. Like
facts. I still just don't. I still think the chance to go up 2-0, you can go in the series in game 3. Series.
I agree. It's what the Pacers did yesterday. But then look, ask any Pacers fan that game.
Well, the problem, the difference between this series and the Pacers series is the Pacers and Cavs are similar teams, and there's not much difference between their talent level. I mean, OKC has a better team,
but then the way they play is polar opposites. Yeah.
Do they though?
I mean, they have it.
I mean,
now, I don't know if they have NBA
not
players.
really. Not really. They're both playing through one player. But I think like they're championship caliber. They're playing through a big man who has passing ability that's out of this world. And the way you have to guard off the ball is different in Denver rather than the way you have to pay attention off the ball to one guy and Jokic and Shea.
Feel me?
Guarding Shea. It's just the way that you have to guard them is just different. Two teams definitely relying on one player very heavily though right now, so it's an interesting series.
I'm not shocked to see that they're down 30 and Russell Westbrook's taking 9 shots. That sounds about right.
Lowski, appreciate you in the chat. Phil, we appreciate you. We're going to get into some comments here in a little bit. Gliz, Will, Trevor, I want to get right into what we just watched tonight. The way it just went down, the way it just ended, the same exact thing kind of just happened in game one.
Exact way, bro. You go up.
Give a little monologue here. On what you've seen over these 2 games that would you say is the biggest issue? And then, like, what you say, the biggest thing that you've seen that should be capitalized on that isn't being capitalized on.
Obviously, I mean, both games, Celtics is up 20 at home, lost both games at the end in the fourth quarter, up at least 10 plus. It's obvious they just keep falling in love with the 3. They're missing 3s. So, I mean, the biggest problem is once they go up, they keep taking 3s. So I'm not going to focus on that. I mean, it's easy to say that in my eyes, like watching them. Like, I've watched the Celtics for years. Like, we won a championship last year shooting 3s. Like, we made the most 3s in the NBA this year. That's what they do. That's like, it's not the problem. To me, it's even when they get rebounds, usually they miss a 3, they get the rebound, and they've been doing it this series. Nobody's rotating. You got a little Brunson on you, and you got him beat off one dribble. You're not driving. It's 14 seconds left in a shot clock. You still shooting. They shooting step back 3s. Tatum, the first game, he had Cat and Mitchell Robinson on him, and he was trying to shoot 3s on Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson. It's like,
I don't get that.
It's like they're getting lazy content basketball. But then the biggest, I feel like what they're not capitalizing on is just mismatches and foul trouble. They've had Josh Hart have 4 fouls. I want to say at halftime, I think he had 4. Cat, the first game, was in foul trouble. They're just not like, if you got Jalen Brunson on you and Jalen Brunson has 4, he had 5 fouls the first game, I want to say, going into the fourth. And you not trying to attack Brunson or Cat to get him fouled out. Instead, we keep shooting 3s, even if they're wide open. Like, what are we doing? Like, you got to get their best player out the game. And then coaching. I just think Joe Mazzulla is just playing. I think he's having this. He's not. Overthinking
a little bit. What do you think?
I'm voting on a hand raise policy here with 4 people here. No, I'm a little. I'm not discriminating anything. Nazir said. I'm just a little surprised because you said you've watched this team. They did win the title last year in the 3s, and I think adding Porzingis, having him at least healthy for the most part during at least in the finals. I know he didn't play in the Eastern Conference Finals, didn't matter. They won a title doing it. They also choked in 2021 doing it. They choked in 2022 doing it. Choked in 2023.
Yeah, they choked in
2024 doing it, and they're choking again this year doing it. They've been the best team in the decade of the 20s. I didn't include 2020 because that title didn't count. It was a canceled season anyway. Sorry, Lakers. And they choked in that. They choked in the bubble too. But the last 5 years, they are the best team in the East. There hasn't been really a second best by far. They are clearly the best team in the East.
I would say Milwaukee.
About Miami, they had 2 finals runs.
They're better than Milwaukee. The Suns lost to Milwaukee in the finals. They choked.
True.
I mean, Giannis is fine, and Drew Holiday's a nice role player.
That 2018, 19, 20, and then 21 run from the Bucks. Those 18 to 21 Bucks.
You can't tell me
18 to 21
in the last
Bucks.
5 years in the East that has had 2 legitimate superstars on the roster other than Boston. You can tell me a team with 1.
Has anybody called Jaylen Brown a superstar before
they should?
MVP? But people don't think. People are arguing, is Tatum a superstar? Like, he was just on ESPN today. They say, is he a superstar? I think they was just. But I think the thing with them is when they was young, I'm not making an excuse for them, but like if we go, I say the 2 eras is the Brad Stevens team, the Ime Udoka team, or 3 eras, and then the Joe Mazzulla team. I feel like the Joe Mazzulla team you can exclude because they're grown, and they got Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and they're all like grown now. But then the team with Brad and when they had Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum, I mean, they was just young and feisty with the Jay Crowder and them.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
they
like,
were-
but then
I'm sorry.
the E-Mate, no, this is the E-Mate team to me. It was just a bunch of like, it was no like establishment. Like, is this Jalen Brown's team? Like, it's the fourth quarter. We seen it tonight. Hey, your turn, you go. And then there's Tatum, you go. And then Jalen Brown, you go. I feel like it was too much of whose team, like whose turn is it? And that's why if you watch them a lot, it'd be like Marcus Smart. To me, I always used to tell Celtics fan, that's my favorite Celtic. It used to be Marcus Smart would always be the one to be like, you two are just too much in your heads, and he would take the last shot in the game and win. But I do think they choked a lot though. But I don't think the E-Make team shot as much threes or we was the number one defensive team in the NBA back then.
They turned defense into offense. They prided themselves
the
on
2022 year.
Yeah, and the Stevenson team is like, I thought it was something a little overachieved, dude, because East was very bad. It hasn't really been much better, but so winning 40 something games in that East was. I mean, it's an accomplishment. I'm not going to knock them.
It was crazy. That was crazy.
It's not like they were like a really good team. They were just, they any kid at fat camp. I mean, it doesn't really count. I'm still fat. I just have to be smaller than the heifer next to me. So
they added Drew,
but there's no team in
Drew
the last 3 years. I mean, you have two legitimate superstar players, and to get me to tell you that is going to be hard if you learn to know me. I'm not one to hand that out to anybody.
I agree with you. I do think they are.
And there's nobody that has better role player level players that can be like White, Porzingis, and Horford than Boston. I mean, that's plain and simple. And yet the fact that you're seeing in the regular season numbers, that's great. But the fact that they lost to Miami twice, who were not better teams, despite having Jimmy Butler playing better, a younger Jimmy Butler.
Beat them once. It
didn't matter who they lost to. The Bucks team, they shouldn't have lost to them. They shouldn't have lost those games. And I'm not saying that you can't be perfect and like the 80s where Boston went to the finals like 7 times. But, come on, man. I mean,
but do you feel like that finals Warriors, they did lose, but do you blame them? Do you think that's a knock for losing to Steph in 2022? Because, I mean, they was knocking down everybody, like out the West, they was knocking down like
maybe
Luka
not losing that game.
I mean,
the Warriors won out.
They lost to champions. They lost to a set of champions already. After that, I look at the Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like what they truly are as a duo after that first final.
That's kind of how I do too.
What are we looking at?
I am too.
Well, okay, because you lost to Steph. You lost to Hall of Famers, Draymond, Steph, and Clay, with Steve Kerr coaching them in a year where the league was kind of wide open.
I think so.
I'll admit that. You know what I mean?
Open.
I mean, they should lose this year.
I think where were the Lakers and where was Giannis? That's kind of like in terms of those two teams having a player at the moment who should have been better than whatever the Warriors or the Celtics should have been, just on what LeBron was at the moment of 2022 and what Giannis was in 2022. I can't remember at the top of my head just how
the Celtics beat Giannis that year. The Celtics was down 3-2, and then Game 6 was in Milwaukee. Tatum dropped 46 at Milwaukee.
That's
and
right.
Game 7 was Grant Williams. Right. Grant Williams had 7 threes and 25 points.
That's right.
And then they beat him. So the Bucks. That was the last year of the Bucks ever. That kind of killed the Bucks. That was the last year of the Bucks. And then Drew came to the Celtics the next year. So that was the Bucks last year with Drew and Middleton core with Giannis.
Then they went and got him and Lillard 2 years after.
When I look at Tatum, when I look at Brown, I look at what's happened since 2022. And yes, it's not.
I think it's a win. Two finals, one finals win, one finals loss, and then this season not over.
Exactly. Exactly. You went to the finals, you won. It's tough. They're champs. They're now champs. Now you have the pedigree to where why are you going down?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Now this ain't good.
A brand new roster. To a brand new roster that's playing with 6 guys,
and
heavy minutes.
They beat them 4-0 in the regular season.
When you've prided yourself on depth all year. You've had the best depth. You got the 6th man of the year. Granted, he did what he could out there tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I think
too much. He's getting exposed.
Shot too much for me, man.
Too many threes, though. You need to be trying to break your man down, make the defense collapse, and kick out to wide open threes. You know, if that's what y'all want to do. So.
Isn't it cute watching the Lakers fan and the Celtics fan trying to make each other feel better about this year's playoff run?
Hey, I don't think the series
over. Watching these two trying to just stroke each other's egos and trying to hope that.
No, I don't think the series is over. If you ask me, though.
I'm just astonished at what they're doing wrong. I'm astonished at what they're doing wrong. Will, what have you noticed
with this series in particular, or with the Celtics in the past, 5 to 7 years?
Let's go.
Start with this series. If it relates to anything, that you've seen.
I mean, it's kind of the Celtics in a nutshell, I feel like. I mean, their MO is to jack up a bunch of threes. That's been them this entire season. People even said, oh, I hate watching them because all they do is shoot threes. And in the first half of game one, they weren't necessarily shooting as many threes as they typically do, and then they turned it up expeditiously in the second half. I mean, it felt like every single shot they were taking
in both games
was trying to be a kill shot. And when you miss out on those, you lose momentum. The Knicks just kind of chip away. I mean, there were several times in both games 1 and 2 where they got back into it. The Celtics seemed like for a minute they were going to take control again, and then they lose it. It's just it's astonishing to me that you have 2, maybe 4 actually. It might be a hot take. 4 Hall of Famers in your starting lineup that are in their prime. Maybe not True Holiday, obviously, but Derek White will probably be a Hall of Famer. Just he's going to end up as probably one of the greatest role players in history.
Well, to be fair, the Basketball Hall of Fame lets anybody in. So
they do let anybody in.
If you get a gold medal, and
a championship,
gold medal and a gold medal championship, and you played a role in it.
I'm not saying he's a top 100 player of all time.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. But
keep going, Will.
If the Celtics didn't have Derek White, they wouldn't be. I think he is the most important player on that roster outside of maybe Porzingis. But it's crazy to me that you had Tatum and Brown, who were basically the same player, but they both lack a killer instinct. They both have the same deficiencies almost. And they're so inconsistent to where it's like a Knicks team that is not as good as them, is not as deep as them, and is playing on the road, and you had a 20-point lead in both games. You choke it both times. It's worse than the Cavs Pacers by far, in my opinion, because
for sure.
Cavs have the injuries. They don't have the championship pedigree. They have a first-year head coach. They don't have the talent level. So, I mean, like we were talking about last time, we had a debate if the Cavs and Celtics met in the Eastern Conference Finals, who would we take? And it was kind of a debate, but I just simply think the Celtics are a better team, but they don't act like it, if that makes sense. They have the talent. They're better than everybody in this league, by far, talent-wise, in my opinion. But they act like they're kind of too good for it. Like the perfect example is when, and this is the last point I'll make, kind of, I think it was February or March, the Cavs played the Celtics on the road, and the Celtics were trying to make a statement. They go up 25-3 at home in the first quarter, and you see Jason Tatum pointing his thumb back at the Cavs bench saying, "Get the fuck out of here," and then they choke and lose. That is their identity. He's choking, and the only reason they didn't last year is because the Mavericks couldn't guard them for shit, and it just worked out in their favor. But every other time.
But when I watched them play the Knicks in the regular season, I'm sorry, because I just about that specifically. When I watched them play the Knicks in the regular season and the Cavs, in certain moments of those games, I watched them go anytime there was a mismatch. They took that mismatch straight to the rim every single time because they, like you just said, have the talent to get or by anybody in the league with 2 quick passes. And when you've got the defense on their back feet and the defense moving, the Celtics are the best team in the
But they had a bench.
When you've got the defense scrambling, it's weird that as soon as adversity hits in the fourth quarter, they don't know who's supposed to shoot it. I don't know.
You would think they would have that figured out.
Should we be trying to shoot threes? I don't know. Should we be trying to get to the basket? I don't know. Why are we not getting foul calls now? I don't know. It's the fourth quarter of a playoff
Some
game.
of the worst ones that would drive me insane, and because the Pacers shoot a lot of threes too, don't get me wrong. I mean, every team in the league.
They shoot too many as well.
But at least when I'm watching the Celtics meltdown tonight, and I'm watching it in game one, and they're game one as well, they're both the same MO. I mean, everything Will said is correct, except I think Kenny Atkins actually was the head coach in Brooklyn before this job. But
no, I meant not a first-year head coach in terms of.
Either way,
he meant for that team.
Like
first year with the team.
That's all right. No one wants to remember his time in Brooklyn. Everybody forgets Brooklyn even has a team, for God's sake. It's like the Celtics are robbing them of draft picks. But I mean, if I'm a Celtics fan, I'm not obviously. But I mean, they're just taking threes when there's no one even in the lane to stop them. I mean, Derek White. Exactly. And I understand, like maybe if you want to try to grow momentum in certain cases, but you're not trying to grab them. You're trying to you're throwing water out the boat here. You're sinking like the Titanic. The other team you're playing has got momentum, and yes, you are more talented than they are. They're still not total scrubs. I mean, this isn't the first round of the East, where I've said before where it doesn't even matter. I mean, the real East playoffs start in the second round. because there's only 4 real teams in the East anyway, and we're looking at those 4 teams right now. And yeah, you're just chucking up threes and fast breaks. When Derek White took 3 of them, and I like Derek White too. Hall of Fame, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's the best of the best when you talk about role players, like level of skill. He's a good old school 3rd, 4th option on an old school championship team, and he's a top level role player. Porzingis in that same one, and so's Horford to a degree. No other team really has that. Maybe Denver does,
but that's where I get mad as a fan. Like, going off what you're saying is like tonight. When does it look back like it's been bad coaching in this playoffs with a lot of coaches. It's been real bad coaching. And I look at like Joe Mazzulla, and then when Porzingis is in the game, when you bench Tatum, Porzingis comes in, he has 8 points straight. He doesn't play 13 minutes, so he had 8 straight points, and nobody on the Knicks can guard Porzingis. Like, first game he was sick, nobody could guard him. And then the whole 4th quarter, you don't play him, and we're struggling. You don't put him in. He puts Tatum in late. I'm like, you got to put one of them in. We had 3 turnovers in a row. You don't play one of them. And then even the last play of the game is 12 seconds left, and you don't call a timeout. Or even when Mikal Bridges has 0 points all night, and then you got your best defender, or it's Drew Holiday, and he gives him back-to-back buckets, you don't call a timeout to be like, all right, hold on now. And you know, even though we're at Boston, they're feeding off of it. The whole team is. And then now they're like, oh, we just did this last game. You as a coach, I feel like you should be like, they know they just did this last game. They're not going nowhere. Mikal's over there was talking. Mikal was clapping, talking. He was pumped. Like, he was, you know what I'm saying? It's like, as a coach, I'm just like, if you seen when Porzingis was in, they had to foul him. Cat, nobody could guard him. Even Luke Cornett, Cat couldn't get a bucket on him. You got to do something like, and it's just like, just put a big man in sometimes. Like, Porzingis was like,
yeah.
I think one thing we're overlooking, Will said, and I know it's easy to overlook because they did win the title last year, but I think that may have just been hunger. I don't know whatever it was, the excuse, but I think it is the case is that, yeah, that Tatum and Brown are just not, they don't have that killer instinct. And you're right. And that's the Kevin Durant thing. Kevin Durant, wins 2 championships on a Warriors team where he's by far the best individual player, but he's never going to win a title because he can't be a leader. I mean, say what you want about LeBron. I mean, LeBron has that instinct. There's not a few. I mean, is it? I think Tyrese Halliburton has it. I wish I'd see it more during the first 3 quarters.
Could he be a killer and not a leader, though?
But I think
that's 2 different things.
I think Jalen Brunson has it. No, it's not just. It's the knowing that you want the ball and you don't care. Listen, I am one of the bigger Kobe haters in the world, and Roman will tell you that, and I can tell you, and I can back it all up. But there's one thing I will give Kobe respect for is that he wasn't going to pass that damn ball. The game's on the line. He's going down. He don't give a fuck. He's taking them. You're going down with them, or we're going to win together. And that's a killer attitude. And you got to have that in a star player. And right, Tatum.
That's facts.
I don't think Tatum or Brown has. I mean, where was Brown in the last minute of the game?
But when you seen let's go back. If you go over the last 2 minutes of the game, I watched close. They said, all right, Jaylen Brown had to hide in all day. Jaylen Brown in the last position of a minute 45, a minute 30. That's where I got mad. He had Jalen Brunson on him, and he couldn't get a bucket on Jalen Brunson. He shot twice, he missed. Then we're down one.
He did drive, though, I believe. Am I not correct?
Yeah, he drove and he missed. He drove on the rack and missed.
The other was a 3-pointer. It's some stupid shot.
Brunson was in the mid-range. He had Brunson in the mid-range. He had no left hand. He couldn't go left. Brunson forced him right. He missed. And then I was like, at this point, you got to give it to your best player. It's Tatum. It has to be Tatum. And then that's why I say sometimes I do think he got a killer instinct. We've seen it before. He dropped.
Because then he went coast to coast for the dunk.
He went coast to coast right away for the dunk.
And he got coast to coast and got fouled.
Yeah, he got coast to coast. He got
fouled. The dunk right after that.
And then that was our only that was our only points in the last 4 minutes of the game was from Tatum, the only person that scored
after
last 4 minutes of the game.
14 straight misses.
No, why did it take for them to go down for him?
That's what I'm saying. He could hit a bucket all night though. At the same time, he couldn't hit a bucket all night.
The thing,
great example in a nutshell. Those 2 plays. Tatum went coast to coast with 30 seconds left to take the lead, but instead of doing it when they're down 1 and 12 seconds left, he pauses, he hesitates, he circles around, and he gets double teamed and he gets blocked.
He tried to do too much at the last second. I do agree. The last one, he tried to do too much. He tried to do too much the last second.
The Celtics right now is, and people have kind of touched on it, but the Knicks don't have. I know you can say Mitchell Robinson is a paint enforcer, but they don't have a true bona fide rim protector.
No,
say like a Porzingis with the Celtics, and when you have a 20-point lead, or even if you don't, I mean, just take into consideration yesterday the Cavs and the Pacers. I know the Cavs ended up choking just like the Pacers did, but somebody like Donovan Mitchell, his shot was off. the past 2 games of the series, or the first 2 games of the series, he can't shoot from 3 at all. But what did he do? He went to the
Since
rim.
All-Star break.
Yeah, he went to the rim every single time, and that's the kind of killer
You also
instinct.
let them go in the free throw line every single time, despite not getting
Right. But I mean, you're right about that. But I'm saying it's not about the outcome; it's the principle of it. And I don't know with the Celtics if it's arrogance or if it's ignorance. If they just don't know what they're doing, or if they're too cocky and just have an air about themselves. It's like, well, hey, we've won a championship. We've been there. We've done that now. We know that we can turn it on when necessary. But
I agree with you.
Towards ignorance then, because they were like that before they won the title and last season. So.
I would agree.
Facts.
I mean, well,
Facts.
I agree.
I
It's
agree.
kind
I
of
agree.
both.
That's
Almost.
facts. That's facts. I agree.
It's wild to me. I really don't.
I mean, I'm over talking shit. This guy's got like 19 titles over here, and I've got like 3 ABA championships.
I still do think though. I still think they're gonna come back and win the series though. Like I mean,
Yeah.
part of it is the fan
Like
of me,
winner,
because
motherfucker.
the Knicks. It's like when the Knicks played the Pacers last year. They went to 7, and then the Knicks just gassed out. Thibodeau teams gas out. I just think they're gonna gas out eventually.
I do too. I mean, I think they do at the end of games already. They still
Bro,
want
it's
it
just
so
Brunson's
much
different.
more. They
Brunson
want it
just wants
so much more, and then Brunson gets these one-on-one matchups, and
Mikal Bridges fucking coast the whole 3 quarters, and then he's just like, okay, 4th quarter, I'll play for real.
Turn up.
This fucking kills me, bro. Like,
then he's
I mean,
the
it's-
two-way star that we know of. Like, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, is my boys in the Discord? They're like, oh, maybe the first 5-round picks is worth it. I'm like, stop it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking
Hell
about?
I mean, the Knicks are situationally a better team than the Celtics are. I
I will agree because they got Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, they're clutch. They're well prepared. They know what they want to run in a clutch situation. They're not just going to say, "Oh, get the
And
ball."
they've got great defenders. They've got 4 great
So
defenders.
it's like, oh well.
I've always said coaching is kind of a little overrated in the NBA, but in this case, I mean, also it's not. There'd be probably just a better coach than Missoula or wherever. I mean,
I do think Missoula's a good coach.
Facts.
But
I mean, he's a fine. I mean, we don't know though. I mean, what do we know? He's
Exactly.
Career. I mean,
He's offensive.
Missoula's
He's
a good coach.
offensive, but he don't have them Brad Stevens like sets. If that was Brad Stevens,
Hell,
we call that
yeah.
timeout. Brad Stevens got to play, set up 12
He's
seconds,
getting an
and
open
we
look.
got an open look.
With enough time to get offensive
Yeah,
rebound.
even
like,
Ime Udoka's a better strategist than he is. I mean,
Yeah,
if
Well,
you look at this
yeah.
roster,
Missoula just
when
the
they were
offensive
playing
genius,
chess
though,
with the
like,
hack
I
of
ain't gonna
Mitch,
let him-
the hack of Mitchell, I worry about Missoula's ability
You
to
didn't
play
like
chess.
that?
That these
You
coaches
didn't
got to
like
play
it?
at the
You
end of
see
these games.
airball one of them free throws. I love that, honestly.
I did, but I don't like the. I mean, I get Horford. It's Horford who's playing less minutes. I don't like the getting closer to the bonus for no
Yeah,
reason.
okay.
I
This
would
is
only
Porzingis shit,
do
though.
it.
Because he's not a shot
Yeah.
creator. Like he's not somebody who's gonna back his man down and really force a double team. If he can force a double team at the same time, okay. 100%.
But here's the thing, though, Roman.
With still like 3
We
minutes
was up.
left,
We
though.
was up when we did it. We was up 20, and it was working the first 2 games. When it was working, we was doing it in the
Yeah.
first half. We're up 20, and we was doing that. So then, if you're a coach, it's like, damn, it's working. But then we just collapse. That's what it's like. It's so hard because everything just collapses. It's like both games you go up 20, everything looks perfect, and then you just collapse. Bro, we was up 20 with Tatum having 2
I
points.
think you're keeping a ball handler. You're keeping a ball handler off the floor when Mitchell Robinson's on the
Yeah.
floor. I get the offensive rebounding threat is
Bro, he's a big he's a threat. though,
prevalent.
like-
It's so prevalent when you want to play small. When you don't want to have Horford out there, if you don't have to have him out there, I get it. Because you want to have Derek White out there, I get it. And that's where I worry about Missoula's ability to play chess with these lineups in terms of just how many defenders that because if you take like they're bringing McBride on, if you take Mitchell Robinson out,
I love
right?
it, bro.
And they play that small ball lineup with Anunoby guarding whoever's
Yep.
out there at the 5 sometimes.
We'll see.
I don't know. Tibbs gonna get real weird with his lineups, and if you're not gonna play Porzingis in the 4th quarter at all, if you're gonna sit Tatum that long in the 4th quarter, I worry.
It's weird.
But I still think that the better team with the better stars typically prevails over a 7-game span. So, it's like I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Celtics won Game 3, right, fellas? And then if they win Game 4,
they
it's
can
a
still win
series
the
again.
series.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
now the Cavs, I think, are done. I think
They're done. They're done.
We
They're
saw the
done.
Cavs show a lot of heart. I was
Cavs
not
is
surprised
cooked.
that they almost beat Indiana in
They're
Game 2, but I mean, because
They're done.
for all the jokes you can make with all the injuries they had, those guys are still NBA players. I mean, they're still.
You're a Pacers fan, right?
I
You're
am.
a Pacers fan. Question
yeah,
for you.
let's get into that right now.
So this is
Let's
a
get
serious
into that.
question.
Okay,
I
hold
know
up.
a few Cavs fans, and I've said this before the series.
I did
Since
too.
even last year, I always thought the Pacers, that pace y'all playing is too much for the Cavs. And I always say that, right? So here's what I always say to Cavs fans. I say, honestly, this is the series. And I said it before too. I was like, I don't think Jared Allen can play this series. I don't think. So I'm like, what do you think? Because to me, it's just like when he's out there, pace. Even if y'all are missing like that was yesterday, he's not rebounding. He's not going to give you 20 points. Like, I don't think he wants to go out there. Miles Turner looks better. Miles Turner looks better than him. And to me right now. And
he did in game 2. I mean, Miles Turner, game 1, as I like to call it, as Roman knows, I call he had a Bill Cosby game, where he scored. When you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game, he's like, got 12 points, 10 rebounds.
He had that big shot. He had that one big shot in the corner.
Clearly, he was there, but you don't remember ever seeing him.
That's Miles for you. That's
what that.
Oh, I get it now. He's sick.
Because you knew he was there, but you don't remember seeing him. So
As he, I like it. I like it.
That's been Miles Turner's career, though, which I've been hard on Miles Turner's Pacer fan. But Jared
Every Pacer fan has.
Well, yeah.
And a Bill Cosby
but
game.
with Jared Allen, it's kind of like he's the Eastern Conference Rudy Gobert a little bit. Because he is he's a throwback player that's kind of lost in an NBA that doesn't really use his. He can still be dominant in the regular season because it's a long season.
Yeah, bro.
4 games in a week. But when you get,
he has no dog. He got no dog. He got no dog, bro. He said, I'll never forget. Hey, I always make a joke. I say, you can't trust somebody who don't get shape-ups and tapers. Like, he don't get shape-ups and tapers. He just wears a headband, and he grows his hair out like it's the 80s, bro. And he already came out and said the lights were too bright 2 years ago. I would have traded his ass the next day. Oh, you can't, hell no. You can't win with that.
I like Jared Allen because I'm a throwback guy as well to a degree. But, I understand. You've got to have somebody like a Nasir to rotate with him.
Yeah.
In the situation, they can kind of, or even Miles.
He can't play starting. He can't play
But
heavy.
him and Mobley's like the same, and Mobley can like.
And listen, the Cavs are a good team. I understand why they're number 1 seed. I got a lot of shit from from people, including I think Roman, that thought I was a fool to think that the Cavs and Pacers were almost identical the way they're built. I still believe that in a way. But the Cavs, to me now, I look at this Cavs team, and I love Donovan Mitchell. It's painful for me to see happen to him, but like they're the Pacers before the Pacers got Siakam. They need that because Garland is the poor man's Trae Young, which is nothing to brag.
Good. I agree.
You have, I think Mobley is Miles Turner in a way. He's a good player. They both have a similar skill set, and they can be kind of third option guys. They can be your Al Horford or your Porzingis. But you need that number 2. Now, Siakam, whether you want to say he's a number 2 guy or not, I think he's better than most have as number 2. And that's the reason why the Pacers right now should be the team in the Eastern Conference Finals playing against Boston, the other team that's only as talented as they are. And they also depth.
Depth is crazy. Pacers I got like 10 people who can go get 10 points a night for you guys. Like, to me, in the Cavs, they got like Ty Jerome. I don't know where I remember he was at Virginia, but like he stepped up big for them. He almost won 6 of the year.
14 last night, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then you got DeAndre Hunter. And then it's like now it's like if you're a Cavs fan, it's like sprained thumb, you're not playing. I don't like talking about injuries, but it's like, bro, come on. Like, look at what Steph's playing with. Like, Steph's playing with that big. Like, Steph was playing with something crazy I've never seen.
You gotta play.
You can
run.
And you're a defender. You're a defender.
Garland's missed 3 games because his
toe. I get a toe.
Was toe? I get that. That's like one of those pains. That's like you can't really sprint if it's bad enough.
McHale played the entire 87 playoffs with a broken fucking foot. Okay,
I played in Bellarmine basketball camp when I was like 16 with a broken toe. It's like,
I haven't
for a week straight.
I tore my PCL in 2004.
He's a shifty guy, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need his quickness.
Garland goes side to side so much. I get that. If it's like a big toe,
I would have played though. Game 2, like game 1, they and then you see like Mobley not playing, and it's like Garland, you got to play, or DeAndre Hunter. But like, I just think the Pacers are just like I feel like the reason I respect the Pacers, the only person who don't know their role is Nembhard, because I think he is stud. I think he can be like. But then it's like everybody knows their role on the Pacers, and it's love. Like, everybody knows their role. Like, Hallie the guy. Siakam like the 2, like everybody knows they roll, bro.
Oh, we stole Naismith from him, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, Naismith. He couldn't hit a shot over here. He could not hit a shot with us.
That was a great deal for you all.
He could not hit a shot. That's one of those players that
I could not tell about him, and then he got to Indiana, And I'm like,
Bro,
whoa,
you
he
the,
can
you
do
had
it all.
the college record for 3-point percentage, and you get to Boston, you couldn't hit a shot. I don't know. It was just like, bro. And then I'm glad he's doing good with the Pacers, though.
It's funny. You go back and look at this Pacer roster. It's very leanly built around the 2020 draft, and not one of these guys that were drafted in 2020 the Pacers took. They technically have James Wiseman, the number 2 pick on the.
Yeah.
They have Toppin, who was the 7th pick in that draft. Halliburton was the 12th, and Naismith was the 14th. All in the 2020 draft.
That's crazy.
That is wild.
That's crazy.
And Halliburton is the product, if you go down the rabbit hole, of the Paul George trade still. George, we got Sabonis, and I say we because I've suffered through 9 losses in the Eastern Conference Finals. We got Sabonis, who I'll be honest with you, I hated that trade when it happened because I like Sabonis, mostly because I was a big fan of his dad in the 80s. But just the trade was clearly the best move. I mean,
it was a win-win.
Turn the team around. It was I was wrong. This team.
What the hell?
This is the Pacer team that ranks right there with blue gold swagger of the 2012 run that we had that I loved so much. That wasn't for LeBron being a bitch and going to Miami and teaming up with everybody. We would have gone to 3 straight finals, and it ranks right there maybe with the even the 90s team that I fell in love with in 91. Are you laughing at my LeBron joke?
Straight. You would have went to 3
the
straight
Celtics
finals.
The Celtics is going to touch.
In case you remember, the Heat beat the Pacers 3 straight years. Once when they were up 2-1 in the second round, lost 4-2. I was at game 3 and 4, and they lost to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals in 6 and 7 games. Yeah. If LeBron's not on Miami, Pacers likely go to 3 straight finals.
I give him 1 for sure. A lot.
At least 1, yeah.
I give him 1. I give him 1 like no argument.
Yeah.
Because they.
What, that 2013?
Pick your poisons. To me, pick your poison.
13 and 14 were the 2 best teams. The 14 team was the one that I think they could have still beat Miami, and they lost in 7, but that was the year they made the
they lost in 6 that year. They lost in 7 and 20.
Yeah, you're right. Because they made the Danny Granger trade, and I hated that trade.
Hey, dumb trade.
That was for Evan Turner. That was stupid.
He got hurt. Danny
it didn't matter.
Hurt.
Evan Turner was a cancer.
Because Evan Turner is even you could look at it his post career NBA. Evan Turner's a troll, bro.
I hate Evan Turner. Bro, Evan Turner was the first NBA player I despised. He was the first NBA player I ever despised. I've to this day I've always said he was never actually good at anything out there. Kept getting deals, kept getting like real roles with teams. I mean, I guess he could defend for a guard.
He would have his best year every contract year. If you look at his years, every year his contract year, he would like turn up maybe 4 more, 5 more points. Bro, Thaddeus Young did that shit too. Thaddeus Young do that shit, yo.
I think he did that smart. Actually,
yeah, he did it with the Pacers. You feel me? Like I respect players like that though. I respect that though. Like it's bad.
Is he at the Raptors? Is he at the Raptors now?
That's where he got a deal. That's where he got that last big deal with the Raptors. I want to say. Yeah, he's done now.
That last big deal was with the Pacers from his time with it.
I have a different opinion.
Yeah. 483 people are in here right now. Let me hear it, Will.
I have a different opinion on the Cavs Pacers series.
Shout out to the
rest of you guys. Well, okay.
We're gonna talk about good Pacers. Be quiet.
So let me preface this first by saying if the Cavs don't get their guys back, or if they only get, say, Garland and not Hunter, or just one of the 3 back, they're done. Like, they're going to lose. But if they get Garland and Mobley back specifically, I actually, prior to this series, I said Pacers in 6 because I agree with you, Gliz. I think that the matchup is kind of a problem. But I think what I failed to realize is that the Pacers can't really keep good guards in front of them that well. And Donovan, hold on.
No, you're right.
So it's Donovan, the first 2 games, I mean, not necessarily the first one. He played well, I guess, 13 of 30. But in game 2, he was living in the paint. Didn't matter if they doubled him off the pick or they tried to hedge. He still got around it, got to the paint every time. And guys like Ty Jerome in games 1 and 2 was still able to do that. The problem is in game 2, he was dog shit. It was 1 for 14. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I mean, he was getting wide open floaters from 6 feet away every time he went to the paint, and he couldn't finish a single one. And if you have a guy like Garland back who's known for penetrating and getting the defense off balance by his quickness, and you have both him and Donovan, 1, they're not going to be able to contain either of them. And 2, that's going to open up the outside for shooters. And when you have Strus and if you get DeAndre Hunter back and healthy and able to shoot, that makes a world of a difference. Instead of having Sam Merrill and Ty Jerome out there for 30-plus minutes a game, you're going to have Darius Garland and DeAndre Hunter, who are not only better defenders, not necessarily Garland, but DeAndre Hunter is a 3-and-D player. Evan Mobley is the defensive player of the year. And when you get Mobley back, that allows you to move away from, say, a 2-big lineup with Allen and Mobley and just play one. Because Jared Allen yesterday was gassed. Donovan Mitchell was gassed. It's because they had to play. And the Pacers, like you all have said, they're deep. They're probably they probably had the most balanced score sheet in the entire league, top to bottom. And if you can try to take that away, in a sense, through your defense and slow the game down, because when the pace was slow, the Cavs dominated. When the Pacers finally played their game, that's when they kicked the Cavs' ass. And the Cavs didn't have the offensive firepower to match it because they only had one star playing.
They've got Sam Merrill and Max Strus out there.
They
relied upon.
Yeah, I mean they played.
They did, well. But that's who they're being relied upon.
If Ty Jerome had a pulse, they win that game. But he was terrible, so it kind of.
They was up 7 with 35 seconds left.
That's an all-time choke. All-time choke.
The Bucks, but that's the second time they did it to the Bucks.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Well,
Pacers just do that.
Not all time. Let me bring the stat up here for you. Here, this is a great stat.
What's the stat up?
No, I read this. This was somebody tweeted this, and they were legitimate. I don't have the exact number. Damn it. I'll paraphrase.
I know the exact
Since
number.
1998, in games where the teams are up 7 or more with a minute left, the team losing is 3,180. Two of those 3 wins are the Pacers in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's crazy, bro.
Pacers do that.
The other one was, in case you're wondering, was OKC coming up back against the Clippers. I think in like 2006 or something like that, 2007. It was a Durant game versus the Clippers. But I mean, that's insane. It's I figured the Cavs, like you mentioned, guys like Strus. Yeah, I mean, in a long range, in a marathon, no, they're not going to be effective enough. But in a 1-game sprint, they're NBA players, and they can have a hot night, and they can get off, and we all can get off at some point or another. And that's what they did. And I figured they were going to come in hot, and I knew we were going to have to take some best shots, and we took all their shots. We were kind of like Debo when Craig started hitting them and hitting them. And we go, that's it. Unfortunately though, for Don Mitchell, he didn't get to throw a brick at our face. But that's kind of like what it was, and we bounced back and we beat down Craig's ass, and we went home with Nia Long instead.
On that point, I don't care if Donovan Mitchell has 4 rec players next to him. You as the 1 seed at home cannot have him drop 50 points and show 20 points.
Great. Did you use that as a reference to Moses Malone, or did you just do that on accident?
I just did that on accident. I was off the top.
There's a great Moses Malone line against the Celtics that he said going into the 1982 finals when the Rockets were the underdog, and said, "I don't care who the Celtics are. You give me 4 brothers from Portsmouth, and I'll beat them." Yeah. And there's the great Cedric Maxwell at the end of the game 4 when they're about to lose the series.
It's crazy, bro.
He looks over at Moses and says, "You might want to call them boys from Portsmouth and get them up here because we're kicking y'all's ass."
Let me ask you a question.
So that's I don't know. I knew I didn't think you were, but I mean, he gave me a chance to bring up Moses Malone, who I love to talk about. So
when the Cavs lose this series, let's be honest, they lose a series. Who do you trade? Because somebody has to go. It's too much to Ty Jerome. I say Garland because Ty Jerome got to get Ty Jerome's cheaper. You got to get paid.
Are you laughing?
Roman,
are you laughing because of my trade? I already know that's going to happen. I announced to you on text.
I'm laughing because I knew this was coming.
Because I mean, it's the money. Now Mobley got extension is like that big. Mobley got to get like $300+ million. He just won Defensive Player of the Year. Somebody,
you out of here, Jared Allen. You out of here, Jared. We're bringing a
right
floor
now. Y'all ready
stretcher
to hear
in.
the trade that's going to happen in the offseason? It's going to be a 3-team trade between Milwaukee, the Lakers, and the Bucks. Milwaukee, the Lakers, and the Cavs. And when all the smoke is cleared and 92 draft picks are traded, all of them are conveyed with like stamps of top 10 protected until like 2039, like most trades are. And when it's all done, LeBron's going to be back in Cleveland to give him another cockhold run into the final year, like he did last time to him. Giannis will be a Laker, and the Bucks will end up with Garland and a lot of draft picks, and mostly mediocre basketball for the next decade.
Giannis said he wanted to go to a big city.
Anyway.
Giannis said he wanted to go to a big city like New York or
It's gonna
like
happen.
Giannis want to go to a big
And
city.
here's how I'm going to prove my theory. This is the second time in history, Milwaukee. Two things they have in common with this trade. Milwaukee won their only championships in 1971 with a great generational player, and in 2022, whatever it was, with a generational player. Both those players
To the Lakers.
Both got traded to Milwaukee. Both have 19 vows in their names. Both are going to be a Laker when it's
He
all
said 19 vows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he's got a
That's-
tinfoil hat on right now.
The Kareem, Lou Alcindor had like 9
Yeah.
vows in his name too. So I mean, yeah, that's
I wish
history repeating itself. Trust me, Milwaukee's going to go. Oh well, 30 more years we'll be good again when we get the next generation out. How are the Packers doing, guys? That's all that's going to happen.
facts. I wish Giannis would have pushed his way out last year to the Warriors before this would have happened. So it could have been Giannis and Steph. Because that was like somebody that kept looking.
Yo.
Oh,
No, we lost him.
no.
You
my
can't
hot
put
take
Giannis
is-
You couldn't have put Giannis
No.
on this year's Warrior team because then it would kill the whole vibe of them being the retirement home guys looking for one last title. I mean, Jimmy Butler was perfect for them on this one. We'll still shake his head because you know it's right.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's 35 plus, so I think
Jimmy's
he might be
39,
right
I think.
No, there's no way.
Look that up. I'd say he's over. I'll say 38. I'm pretty sure he's over 35.
I'm pretty sure he's right at 35 or he's 36.
Curry's 35, but he's like 42 with his.
Curry's 37.
Oh God, yeah, he's like you got to add
Jimmy is right at 35. My hot take
that's
was
right.
I don't
Thank
think the
you.
Cavs trade anybody this offseason. I don't think.
I would trade Garland. I would try to keep. You want to keep Mobley? I would trade Allen, and then you know what? Just dump a shitload of draft picks if you have them. You know, it's funny. I was
And
looking.
they did that for Donovan. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. I know, and that's a horrible trade.
But
I
they
was-
have
I was trying to figure out the other day. Here's a little story time with Trevor. Well, it's just you and me, Will. I was trying to figure out how the Rockets got the big guy they have, Saigon, the big center,
Shingun, Alperen Shingun.
Inju Saigon or whatever his name is. I'm like, how did they get him? Turns out he was drafted 16th by the Thunder, who traded him to the Rockets for 2 first-round picks in 2021. Those 2 picks, one belonged to Detroit that had a stamp of protected until top 18 all the way up until this year. And the other was a pick from Washington, who is a lottery protected pick all the way up to 2030. In which case, if they haven't gotten it by then, they'll get a second-round pick. They're literally going to. It's been 5 years. They've got nothing for him, and they're end up going to get a pick in the 20s thanks to Detroit making the playoffs and a second one. I'm going to go boomer for a second to the few people who are left watching. We've got to put a tamper on this like protection picks thing. I mean, I know it's there because at one point, like in the 80s, the Cavs traded like 9 straight first-round picks, and it was so bad they actually had to make a rule about their owner, the stipend rule, to prevent it. And you saw what happened with the Celtics trade that involved the Nets, where you had 3. They got around the stipend rule by saying we're going to swap picks instead, but they were so bad that their teams were like, man, we got to start protecting these picks. But now it's made the point where teams are just giving away first-round picks because they're protected, and in the end, you're literally getting nothing for it. You're getting like 2 second-rounders 6 years later. It's got to change, and we've seen it recently with the Durant trade, the Mitchell trade, Beal trade, Gobert trade, where teams are giving away 9 first-round picks, and yet you look at the draft and go, wait a minute, Minnesota's still drafting, but didn't they give their first-round pick? No, it was top 20 protected. I mean, I don't know. I'm just
No, I mean,
I know,
it's
Will,
a
if you
real
want to
issue.
start pitching, you'd go on a date night. But I'm just saying, it's
That was
frustrating
yesterday.
over here.
But
Had to get
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's almost as big of an issue as the new salary cap or the new CBA with the NBA, to where it's going to be much harder to have roster retention. Some teams will be able to manage it, but it's just not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to keep like an extended core together for a long period of time. An
And here's the
extended
thing.
core, I mean, like more than just a big 3.
And
Like a
the
roster
thing
core.
I don't think the NBA gets is this is the most parity the NBA's had in terms of championships since the 70s. And I know it's not fair to make the comparison, but that was also maybe the worst time in the NBA in terms of of like support and being viewership and yada yada. But it was the 70s and no one cared about the NBA anyway, so it's kind of hard to do. Parody's not the NBA's best thing. Like, that's great for the NFL. It's okay sometimes for baseball, maybe. The NBA is always at its best when it has your 2 or 3 teams, and then the rest is kind of
ratings-wise, at least, you mean,
yeah.
right?
Well, ratings is what makes everything go round, is it not? I mean, that's what the end goal. And that's I worry about the NBA because also I look at this. I think the NBA talent level's down. I don't think it's as bad as it. I think the 2000s was awful. And I think, you had basically 2 teams. You had the Lakers and you had the Spurs and you had, 24 other teams.
Pistons mixed in here and there.
Yeah, just mixed in, making a run every now and then, like a Toronto or a New Jersey or whatever a Pacers did in 2000. And in 2010 wasn't much better, really. I mean, we had just basically 2 super teams in Golden State and Miami. And then, you had Cleveland once, but outside that – but that's where the NBA is at least it's most popular when they have that in terms of ratings. You don't have it now. You're lacking superstars. I mean, who's going to replace?
Yeah, that's the bigger issue than the parody because, I mean, if you saw – Roman just texted me too, but he said he has no sound output all of a sudden.
That means it's better for us, right?
I guess so. Oh, hey, we can hear you.
I hear you. What happened to Nasir? He disappeared quicker than Little did.
Oh, I'm trying to figure that out. Just keep it up. You guys are doing great work. Viewers have gone up.
I want to hear what Will has to say about
60 of you all watching right now. Having some technical difficulties. I'm very, very sorry, but I'm going to get them sorted out. I think it's too risky to refresh, but I'm going to figure it out.
All good, man.
Okay. Well, you seem to be on the same brain length I am about the worriness of the
yeah. I mean, it's definitely something you got to keep in mind. I know the Game 7 between the Rockets and the Warriors had the highest ratings for an NBA game since 2009, or at least a non-NBA Finals game.
Oh, okay.
Obviously. Sorry, I should have prefaced
all right.
that, but still,
even with the tag on it, I'm so surprised.
So, but why Steph Curry? Yeah. That's the answer. It's Curry, it's LeBron, it's Kevin Durant. Those 3 are like the last of the generational superstars of their era. I mean, I guess you can maybe try to put Kawhi or James Harden in there, but
it's not.
They didn't have the success. No. I mean, they're Hall of Fame players. They're incredible. Kawhi Leonard's probably a top 50 player of all time as well. But it's like, he didn't have that staying power. He didn't have that star power, that personality to be on the level of a Steph, LeBron, or a KD. And when those 3 guys are gone, I agree. I think the talent level, though, I will say is better. At least the floor is much higher than it used to be. The ceiling is arguable. I think that the American talent maybe has declined a bit while global talent has increased.
Which is a guy because the NBA, unfortunately, and this is my opinion as much, but the NBA is not going to have a European players to face the league. It's just not going to fly.
I mean, Dirk could have been for a while. Luka can be. Jokic kind of is.
Dirk could had Kobe then.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. So American stars will always do better ratings-wise than foreign stars. But the problem with it is now when you have a decrease in American talent, like who will probably be the face of the league when those guys are done? Probably Anthony Edwards. In terms of American players, he's probably the best of the rest.
Yeah, but the problem is if you go up to 100 people, Family Feud style, and you bring up Anthony Edwards, they're going to think you're talking about the guy from ER.
No, they'll probably know because that's his personality. He has that
that's true.
Kind of boisterous, that killer instinct, that crazy personality to where he's going to make headlines, even if it's a random regular season game in January. So he has.
He's got to be the guy you can market. Like, you can market LeBron, you can market Curry, you can market Durant. There's nobody to market. I mean, they try doing the SBA stuff, I guess, every March with these T-Mobile thing. But honestly, I hate those commercials. And
he's not a very charismatic guy. I mean, I do think Anthony Edwards is.
And Jason Tatum is somebody you would think be obvious answer. But yeah, again, he's quiet. He's not a very. He doesn't have.
It was Jaylen Brown.
He doesn't have that it factor. And it's just I don't know anybody that does, and that worries me when it comes to the NBA because that's what the NBA. I mean, Stern built this league from where it was in the 70s on when you got finals games coming on at midnight on CBS and tape delay because of the star power that he built around primarily obviously Bird, Magic, and then later on Jordan. But I don't. The talent level we agree on a little bit. I am worried about it. But I'm not worried about it. Tyrese Halliburton being a star at least in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, no shit. I mean,
I'd love to see him do that in the first three quarters. That's the one thing that annoys me about him is that he just sometimes becomes too passive in the first three quarters.
Yes, he definitely delegates a little too much, which isn't the worst quality, but in your best player, your most talented player, you want them to kind of take control. And maybe I don't know if he's that type of guy that can be a scorer for all four quarters. I mean,
I don't know if he can hold it up. And I'm a friend of the Cats fan who just is driving him insane because there's no team that shoots the ball as well as the Pacers who look as ugly shooting it as the Indiana Pacers. I mean,
it's the ugliest damn shot I've ever seen.
Nembhard's shot looks like a gay man waving a handkerchief.
It's like that.
Halliburton does that. I mean, it's like Jamal Wilkes' old shotgun shot. There.
It's almost like a side catapult, kind of.
So, I mean, Miles Turner he just looks goofy in general. So,
can you hear me?
Jack in the Beanstalk. Yeah, it's a little
I'm back.
There we go. Okay. No. You're good. You're good. For a minute, there was like a bunch of crackling, but I think it's all good.
Is it better?
I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
I don't know how much longer we can have you, Roman. So I'll just say this right now. Let's just kind of look at predictions in this. I know it's being 2-0 in the East is somewhat easy, but I'll just kind of start with the Cavs and Pacers real quick. I think this series, the game 3 will be interesting. I think the Cavs will show a little fight. But listen, there's one thing about Pacer fans. When we're bad, we don't show up. And when we're good, we come out in droves. And we come out harsh. And we come out racist. So be prepared, Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, trust me, I know. It's Indiana, not Kentucky. Just ask Spike Lee. So be prepared. There's going to be a lot of shit talk. We're going to come out talking it. And I think the Pacers do win this game. I can see maybe the Cavs stealing game 4 for heart. They do look like they have some heart, but this series is done now. We took their best shot in game 2 despite the injuries. And I think the Pacers now advance. If they'd gone 7, I thought the Pacers were going to lose. And I thought it was going 7. But now it's done. If it does go 7, the Pacers still lose. But Pacers win this series 4-1.
My original pick was you say 4-1. Yeah. My original was Pacers in 6. I'll stick with that. But I will say, if the Cavs get all 3 of their guys that are injured back, and they actually have like a pulse, they're not just dead men walking on the court and they can't do anything. I do think the Cavs will come back and win the series. That is a hot take.
It's hot, but I can foresee it.
It took all that for the Pacers to win those 2 games. I mean, I understand. It's
game 1 it was only Garland out though. Game 1 they only missed Garland. So
yeah, but like Hunter and Mobley, how many minutes did they play in game 1? Because
I don't remember actually.
I'll try to look at it real quick.
Mobley should play more than Hunter. He's a role player anyway.
Yeah. I agree with you, Will. I think if they can both get back out there, it changes the series 100%. Yeah. It's just one of those things that you have to play perfect basketball now, and they're so far off from their form of perfect basketball that I don't know. If they can play perfect basketball even without, like, if they would have just played a better fourth quarter, they would have won that game.
I mean, the Cavs just look mentally beat too. I mean, Naismith dunked on Donovan so hard he injured him last night. I mean, that's just. Yeah. I mean, it was, and I hate seeing it because I felt like the series was going to be like when the Eagles played the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and I got and Deion Branch, my Louisville guy, he had the MVP on us. That's how I was going to feel with the series. But I love Donovan. I think he's a great future in Cleveland, but it's just not. They're not ready. It's not their year, and it's just time.
I mean, you're probably right. To answer your question. So it's more minutes than I thought. So Mobley played 36 in game 1. DeAndre Hunter played 30.
Yeah, they were.
But
fine.
Still, my X factor was Garland. But I think you have to have all of them back if you want a chance. If not, I mean, like you said, you can steal a game or 2. But
so we also think there might be some more life in Cleveland. But the Pacers move on. God love you. I can still do this show in the future.
I mean, it's hard to come back from that kind of mental.
Especially the mental. Now that said, we have another series in the East where you have Boston up 2-0 or down 2-0 after we have 20 points in 2 games, choking away at home. Yet I just don't feel like they still have the mental beating that the Cavs took in their down 0-2. As much as I want to see the Knicks, I think Cleveland. I think Boston actually. I'm taking Boston in 6. I'll play 7. I'm on 6. Fuck it. I'm thinking they win 6. They win out the next 4 games.
I would not be surprised at all. With the way that those rotations are going for the Knicks right now, the depth should prevail, I think. And I think at this point there's no way they resort to 3-point shooting in a fourth quarter when they're if they have a potential lead collapsing. There's just no way. And I foresee them getting out to early leads in every game they've got going forward because that's just how they are. Especially against the Knicks team that at certain moments doesn't have the 3-point shooting, right? If Cat and Brunson aren't hitting, Anunoby's been good. OG's been good. OG's been good. I shouldn't say that, but there's just they get such a heavy volume from Cat and Brunson that it's just tough to rely on Mikal and OG for your other offense when you know what's going to be coming from the Knicks or from the Celtics. So I think Celtics in 7.
Well,
I said Celtics in 7. I think that
I want on the record though. I'm hoping New York wins with all my heart, but I don't see it happening, and I don't think the Pacers will beat Boston. But we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge another day.
I would be surprised if the Knicks do win. But.
Oklahoma City is still up 30-41. I don't know. I took me 3 years past pre-algebra, so fuck you. I can't do math. But they're up big. Okay, in the third quarter still. Tying this series look like the 1-1. I like Denver in this series going in a little bit. All hinged on what Jamal Murray can do. When Jamal Murray plays Jamal Murray basketball, Denver is the best team in the West. It can be debatable, but I don't think it too much is, despite how much I hate Russell Westbrook. But and his jersey's right behind Roman right now. 0. That's how much heart he has in the clutch. I'm going to say Denver still wins this in 7. I think Denver pulls this out. I want to say OKC, but I think they're 1 year still at least away, and one more SGA. SGA needs one more player. Like the guys he has now are just somebody has to step up, and no one is yet to do it to help him out. And I don't know if they're going to do it this year. And I think in terms of old school passing the torch, I think they are still one more year having to wait to get to that next level. And Denver wins this series in 7.
It's tough with the way that they're performing right now as we speak, up 114-76 last I looked. 122-76 going into the fourth quarter here. Obviously, though, they just came right out of the gates and started hitting shots, and the Nuggets couldn't get anything to drop. And when you get out to an early lead in a playoff game, unless you have an all-time crumble, usually you're going to have that withstanding. And then
46.
Yeah, all the starters in double figures right now. So that's the thing about the Thunder. They rely on everybody out there contributing when they're out there rather than having that second guy be that guaranteed lockdown dog of a second option. Because some nights it's Chet, some nights it's J-Dub, some nights it's Lou Dort. Lou Dort I've seen go crazy a few times this season. Whoever's hitting shots, whoever's turning defense into offense, they feed the hot hand. They see what they can create after with the ball handling from Shea, right? He's their initiator. He's also like, it's kind of I'm going to see how the defense is going to guard me, and we're going to go from there because of how every other guy out there can kind of put the ball on the floor and attack off the closeout. So I'm with you, Trev. I think the Nuggets win in 7 just because I think that strength down low that you get from Aaron Gordon and Jokic at the same time, with Christian Braun out there kind of being in front of that little bit of a zone that they've kind of been running when Shea has the ball. It's the weirdest thing. Shout out to Hoop Venue for breaking it down on YouTube. But when Shea has the ball, they completely ignore the corners. Whoever's in the corner, they don't really care who it is. And they leave him alone because they're cutting off the middle of the paint. It's like a weird little boxing one almost thing that they're trying to do within the paint when Shea has the ball. So if that stays up when they get back to Denver and they can split the series in Denver as well, rather than go down like 2-1 immediately and then have to be avoiding a 3-1 series, I think the Nuggets can win this. Obviously, that's easy. Duh. If they can avoid 3-1, they can win this. But that defense down low, the way that they can contest their ball handlers outside of Jamal Murray, they do have strength and size. And I think they've got a little bit more, fellas. And then the experience, I just think with a guy like Jokic, it's going to prevail. The experience he's got around him. If Russell Westbrook plays high energy, gets deflections, gets steals, I think the Nuggets can definitely go on to win the series. If they come out of the gates how they did tonight and allow OKC to get on fire that quick, they're going to get smoked every game just because they don't have the firepower to keep up. When OKC's sharing the ball, everybody's moving, screening, cutting, and hitting three-pointers. So I'm going to go with you, Trev. Give me Denver in 7.
Will, you jumping on the bandwagon with us?
No. This is. I will say though, this is
Contrarian.
yeah. This is the toughest series to predict in my book, in this round at least. I mean, it's so. I think the teams match up really well with each other, and it's not like Mark Daigneault has a coaching advantage over David Adelman because Daigneault is a relatively young head coach who's never had a deep playoff run yet as a head coach. So it's kind of a wash there. I do think Jokic is the best player on the court. I do think he has an advantage against Hartenstein and Chet because Hartenstein can't guard him on the perimeter. Chet can't guard him in the paint. He has the advantage there. I do think top to bottom, the Thunder had the better roster.
Yep.
They have a better defense. They have more consistent production. And what I mean by that is that you have consistent production from Jokic typically. Aaron Gordon has shown up pretty much throughout all the playoffs so far. Michael Porter Jr. is down and out right now. You need to have him play better if you want to win. Christian Brown is kind of a good glue guy, but he's pretty inconsistent as well. Jamal Murray has been inconsistent so far. I mean, he was pretty good the other night. I'm sure last I saw he was terrible tonight.
He's terrible tonight because they're losing.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, this could be kind of just a false alarm to where, like when the Clippers blew out the Nuggets in Game 3 of their series by like 50 is what it felt like. It could just be like that. I'm going to say OKC in 7. That's just my instinct. I would not be surprised at all if the Nuggets win this series, even in 6. I think they match up pretty well. It's really just going to come down to how can you put your best players in the position to succeed.
Yeah.
I think the Thunder have the slight advantage in that regard.
Yep.
And I trust their role players just a bit more.
Probably trust their coaching a little bit more too.
And like everything you said, because that's why they had the best record in the West in the regular season.
Yeah.
They have the depth, they have to go through that grind, but playoffs is a different season. It's a different.
We saw that last year. I mean,
yeah, and then you saw the way they lost to a team that had 2-star players, and you just had one with SGA. Little note for David Adelman. I know you all don't know, maybe remember his dad, Rick, but the Adelmans have maybe one of the luckiest coaching families in the world. Rick took over Portland the year before for when Mike Stauffer got fired. He took over a Portland team that ended up going to the finals like basically 2 out of 3 years. I mean, he took over a Portland team right at the brink of them being one of the best teams in the West in the late 80s. And now you have his son who just gets handed the keys to maybe one of the best 3 teams in the West. And Jokic.
And generational talent.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus. I mean, the Adelmans, I mean, listen, I like Rick Adelman as a coach. You probably remember more from his run with the Kings than with his Blazer run than I do. But he was the coach of the Kings when they had their run in the early 2000s. But and the Adelmans, man, they fall ass backwards into shit like coaches get quarterbacks. I mean, it's just like good more power to them because I think they're great coaches. I think David's a good coach.
Yeah, they are good coaches.
I agree with what you're saying about the experience. But I think, I mean, if he's anything like his dad, I was a huge fan of his dad as a coach, and I think he'll be a good coach too here in Denver. And I think they got he's going to be the best of a bad situation from where they had to clear out everybody because no one can get along. Last series. You've got Golden State.
We got Nasir. Nasir had some technical difficulties. His computer died.
OKC in 7.
He's got OKC in 7. So we got Will and Nasir both on OKC in 7. Me and you, Trev, both on Denver in 7.
So we all agree 7 though, at least. So we can all get along on that one. The other one, I think me and Roman both liked the upset 7 Golden State. That was a whole matchup for Houston. We were right. I think he said 6. I did say 7, but nonetheless, we were both right in the long run.
Yeah.
Minnesota, I didn't. I guess I don't know. I guess I just slept on Minnesota for some reason. And it took one game of watching them against the Lakers to remember that Minnesota might be like the second most talented team in the West. And then you got to remember, well, how the fuck they had a 6 seed? There's like a 2-game difference between them and the 2 seed. I think 152, they won 49. Yeah, so it's just kind of a bad timing of a point in the regular season. I was shocked that Golden State won game one, to be honest with you. I think Minnesota is going to win this series in the long run. I think Minnesota will end up maybe winning the West. We'll get to that later on, but I like Minnesota in this series against Golden State. Golden State had a great last hurrah in the first round, and I think it will be their last hurrah for most of these players. But I think Timberwolves, this is their turn. They've got the better team. Edwards, I think, does have that killer instinct for the most part. Game one didn't show it. I think they win in 6. I think the team was just too talented for Golden State.
What do you think, Will?
So I said Warriors in 6 to start, and the reasoning behind that is because I feel that the Wolves are a worse version of the Celtics in the sense that they hot dog a lot. They shoot a shit ton of threes.
They did.
They make the most. Well, Anthony Edwards did, at least in the league, but they make a ton of threes. They take a ton of threes, but they're very prone to lapses, prolonged lapses. I think Chris Finch is a good coach, but Steve Kerr is a Hall of Fame coach. He's better than he is. They also have Steph Curry is the best player in the series. That's my thought coming into it. So I said Warriors in 6. Now I'll say Timberwolves in 6. I mean, best case scenario.
So game one didn't scare you like it didn't scare me.
No, well, what I was surprised about is, Steph went out when it was, I think, 30-20.
Oh, yeah, duh.
And the Warriors smoked him the rest of the way. I know the Timberwolves brought it back to 9.
Handled them.
When Edwards finally got a pulse. But Jimmy Butler did just enough. Draymond Green hit 4 threes. Buddy Hield kept playing really well.
On both ends of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And the Warriors' defense is so damn good.
It's underrated. That's what I keep telling people. Since Jimmy Butler got there, they've the number 1 in deflections and top 3 in steals.
They're the most connected defense in the league. And Draymond Green, as much of a jackass as he is the anchor of that defense. He's one of the greatest defenders of all time. He's only 6'6", 6'5", and he's holding these big men to meager stats. Rudy Gobert was terrorizing the Lakers, especially in Game 5, and he was just another guy last night. Nasir, same thing. And I think that the Warriors can still win this without Steph, but best case scenario, they're not getting him back till Game 5. So if the Warriors want to win, they have to split at home. They're going to get blasted tomorrow, I think. I'm pretty sure the Wolves are going to run them off the floor.
I completely forgot about Curry being out. I'm burnt out. I'm literally made my prediction on the thought even Curry.
Hey,
yeah, Curry's not there. Yeah, I'm definitely going to with 6.
Yeah, and the Wolves are a really good team. They are, I think, the most talented team in the West, but they're still young enough to where they just, well, at least outside of Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert, they're still young enough to where they just make these boneheaded mistakes. They can get blown out any night. That's what happened. It happened in Game 2 to them.
Timberwolves need to get a veteran like a Drew Holiday or
Mike Conley. Mike Conley can't do it
maybe
anymore.
He's just a little too old.
They needed that guy like Will said to be kind of the balance, the yin to the yang. Because Jaden McDaniels is a great young player. Edwards obviously a really good young player. Reed's a good young player. They've got all their very good young talent. And Gobert, I just don't know. I like Gobert to a degree, but
I don't.
And Conley's very quiet.
I hate him.
Yeah.
They're not vocal guys like you said.
Alexander Walker is basically the starting point guard. I know he doesn't start, but he plays starter minutes.
That guy, yeah.
But yeah, Dante DiVincenzo also.
They got a great unit there. They've got a great unit.
They really
basketball. What do you say then, Will? You say Wolves in.
If Steph doesn't come back till Game 5, I'll say Wolves in 6. If he does come back by Game 4, I'll say Warriors in 7, because I do think tomorrow the Wolves win, and you just got to see what happens after that. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think Steph comes back in time. I'm going to say Wolves in 5, honestly.
Yeah,
but if Steph does, I want to be wrong. My gut and heart are saying I'm wrong. My basketball logic is saying Wolves in 5, maybe 6. I just don't think that without Steph, it completely changes how they have to play. They don't have the same shooting. They don't have the same attention drawn out to him, which allows players like Quentin Post, Jimmy Butler to get open looks. Gary Payton to get those open drives to the lane because he's able to catch the ball with a head of steam because Steph's drawing two so often, right? That changes everything. You can't play a lineup with Gary Payton and Draymond Green without Steph Curry. It doesn't work in the playoffs, especially not against a team like the Timberwolves who have the size. So, because
I will say, are you almost done?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
If the Warriors want to win without having Steph for most of the series, two things need to happen. Brandon Pajimski.
Say it.
Brandon Pajimski, outside of, I think it was game 3 or game 4 in the Houston series, has been dog week in the playoffs so far.
Say the second one.
It's between Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody.
There it is.
And Moses Moody has to have a pulse because he's been terrible lately. Jonathan Kuminga, if he gets his confidence back, is a totally different player. But the thing that saved the Warriors last night was putting in Kevon Looney for extended minutes.
Plays winning basketball. I was sitting there telling my girlfriend the whole time we're watching it. I'm just sitting there looking at the TV with my hands behind my back like that, kind of like pondering the TV, walking back and forth. Kevon Looney play winning basketball.
He is a god-tier level rebounder, and not in terms of volume, but
Loon play winning basketball.
Think about Game 7 against the Kings in 2023. That motherfucker was getting every single offensive rebound that came his way. And that's what led to the Warriors blasting them.
Yeah.
The Wolves made their push. Looney came in, instant turnaround. They went back up by 20. Almost.
Honestly, I'm a little disappointed, Will. I really was hoping you were going to say Pat Spencer because
he's a dog. I love Pat Spencer.
The guy, listen, he looks like William Macy and Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Okay. He looks like the dude who won a contest to get to sit near the bench. And then they were like, you know what? Fuck it. Go on in, dude. It's like Eddie. Remember the movie Eddie where Whoopi Goldberg got to be coach of the Knicks? He looks like a 90s storyline.
He's a baller, man.
I'm texting Roman. I'm like, who is this? Who is this dad? He's like snuck on the court.
He's got a killer mustache, dude.
He's like, no, the guy played lacrosse. He's a 4-year lacrosse player. Like they've got odds from American Pie out there in playing. And in the second round, honestly, the only thing I can say about it is
contributing.
That is where you give respect to Steph Curry, dude. The guy's taking a fucking lacrosse player into the second round.
Yeah, 100%. But Pat Spencer, he was a great college player too. He's a 100% all-around athlete. He can jump, he can slide his feet, he can sprint. And
hey, Will, remember when I was telling you I was worried about the level of talent in the NBA? You got lacrosse players playing for the Warriors, dude.
Hey, he's the type of athlete that no matter what sport he plays, he's just good at.
Yeah, he's just an all-around athlete. And you're 100% correct, Will, and I didn't even bring it up because I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he has the confidence, and I think he has more confidence than Steve Kerr thinks he does. I think Steve Kerr says, fuck him. I don't care what you think he got. Jonathan Kuminga, sorry. He's not going to play enough. And what he is as a defender and how he can switch, how he can go out there and guard an Anthony Edwards kind of a guy and at least force him off the three-point line, and force force Nickeil Alexander, force Dante Divan. He can guard those switches if he has to. And guard the step back threes if that's what they're going to choose to do. And if it happens, he gets put on Randall. Guess what? He can put up a fight against a player like Julius Randle too.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be Moses Moody then,
because Moses will shoot that shit if he gets it. If you give it to Moses, he will shoot that shit, especially when Steph's off the floor. Moses doesn't have the same ability to defend. He doesn't have the same athleticism that Jonathan Kuminga has, but the offensive confidence in that corner three that Moody has is miles clear of anything that Jonathan Kuminga seems to be in Steve Kerr's eyes, what Jonathan Kuminga is going to offer you offensively. So unless two of them get going and can be two-way players, there's no way they win the series if Steph misses the next three games.
Three, yeah.
Two to three games. Even if Steph plays, I'm still doing Minnesota in 6 because Minnesota, again, and Will said, well, me and Will may disagree on how good Steve Kerr is, maybe as really as a coach. But, here's the thing. No Steve Kerr team is going to beat another team who has more talent than he does. That's never going to happen because he's not that good of a coach. And Minnesota's got more talent than they do. So
if Steph misses 2 games, give me the Warriors in 6. I know that sounds crazy.
Kerr as a coach when they don't have Steph. He wins 15 games.
I disagree with you on Kerr.
He's a modern day Phil Jackson. He's not a great coach, but he knows where the talent is and how to win.
He has a really good. He has a really
Will
deep
Jackson
playbook.
wasn't a
Too.
basketball coach.
He
Texas
has a
Windsor
deep
was coaching
playbook.
that team.
Kerr has a deep playbook. I think Kerr's kind of a
Kerr
genius.
is
He's an
George
offensive
Stevens.
genius. I think
He's
he's an
right
offensive
what
genius.
Mark Jackson built.
Here's what I think. I think Kerr's an offensive genius who's gotten bailed out by having one of the best power forward defenders of the generation.
I think he's
there's not a single top 5 coach in NBA history that didn't have a Hall of Famer.
Right, and I get that. And listen, my favorite coach, probably NBA wise of all time, does have a ring, and he did it in the only probably team that ever won a championship without a superstar or legit, in my eyes, Hall of Famer, and that's Detroit, and that's Larry Brown, because Larry Brown got the most out of his team. Most NBA coaches are just going to coast. Most of them are just going to go Mike Woodson on you, and some will do some. There are some old school still out there, but I mean, Steve Kerr is just going to. He's Doug Collins, dude. He's just roll the ball out there, give it to my best player, and get out the way. I don't know what else to tell you, and that's how Steve Kerr coaches. And I mean, yeah,
it's not that simple.
Look at the dynasties of the '80s when you look at the Celtics. I mean, they won all their championships with a different coach every time. It just shows you somewhat how coaching irrelevancy can be in the NBA. I think it matters sometimes, but I
think there's a much stronger need for high level coaching in the NBA right now than you think.
I think a coach's job, as long as he's not making stupid decisions, i.e. like what Boston's coach has done the last 2 games, it doesn't matter. Just don't lose us the game if you're an NBA coach. That's all you have to not do. And most time, NBA coaches don't do that.
But I think with the advanced stuff, there's coaches who have advanced level ways of processing lineups, processing matchups, processing switching, how they are actually going to attack different sets they can go to because of things they're seeing out there and seeing that quickly in live time, not needing assistant referees.
NBA, man. You make it so complicated. It's not. It's just so basic.
You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. Why do you think it's not complicated? Why do you think it's not?
Your best player and you get the fuck out the way. I mean,
I'll show you why.
Coaches are fully in control of rotations, though, Trevor.
Yes. In college, it's great, but I mean, in the NBA, it's
the same. It's the same.
So
you have less control of kids than you do of grown men.
Yeah. Take this for example, Trevor. The last series between the Warriors and the Rockets. That was the epitome of a chess match between 2 coaches. On one side, you have Ime Udoka, who revived the 2 big man lineup this year in the NBA and employed it against the best shooter of all time when it's almost sacrilegious to even have a big man anywhere near Steph Curry on a pick and roll situation. What they decided to do was use the 2 big man lineup and dominate the glass because A, he knows they're not a good shooting team, the Rockets, I mean. And B, because they need to rough up the Warriors because they're just smaller, rough up Steph. And every time Steph had a pick and roll, the primary defender blitzed him alongside the big man if it was a 2 big man lineup. And the Warriors at first had no answer for that. They did not. But what they did was bring in Looney. Like we said, he's kind of used as a situational chess piece. Because Draymond Green could not take care of both Adams and Şengün, but one-on-one, he dominated Şengün in that series. For a big man, he was incredibly inefficient, especially around the paint. And they played basically, or at least tried to, besides Şengün posting up, no middle defense to where it's like, hey, we're going to let Fred VanVleet shoot. If he beats us, he beats us. We're going to let Jalen Green shoot.
Wait a minute. I thought you didn't. Why didn't you stop me earlier? I thought I've been calling that dude Saigon for like 2 years.
I did earlier. I did.
I thought his name
and
was
then you
Saigon.
said it again, and I was like, I think he's just messing with me at this point. So I kept going.
No, I thought his name was Saigon. I read
I'll bring
his name.
Şengün. No, Şengün. He's Turkish. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
I'll be damned. I thought it was weird he was Turkish and named Saigon.
Alfred Şengün.
But yeah, I mean,
no wonder my Saigon jokes that fall in the first round it went over everyone's head. Yeah. No wonder no one laughed at my Saigon has fallen jokes.
But I don't need to get into the weeds too much of it, but that was
I like the
total
weeds.
Chess match the last round between 2 really good head coaches who used every possible piece within their roster to try to get an advantage. The difference in that series was you have a young team compared to a team with championship medal and a top 10 player of all time and one of the best defenders of all time. That was the difference. Do I think Steve Kerr is the greatest coach of all time? No, but he took a team that Mark Jackson could never get out of the first round
Well, they
besides the Spurs series,
they were on their way up. By the way, for the record, he caught them on the way up. It wasn't like they were.
he did,
in
but
losing like 5-6 straight years. They lost the first round twice.
sure,
and they were still young.
I mean, yeah, they lost to the Spurs in 6. I know they beat the Nuggets before losing to the Spurs, and they lost to the Clippers in 7.
Clippers, yeah.
But it was the whole offense changed. The whole approach to how Steph Curry will play within an offense changed under Steve Kerr compared to Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson was very heavily on pick and roll offense. Steve Kerr is motion, high post splits, backdoor cuts, all that shit.
Yeah, Mark Jackson was going to try to make Steph much more
of a
traditional point guard than he was ever.
My point is, and the guy, and I don't want to mispronounce his name because I've been calling one dude Saigon for long enough. No, the coach of the Rockets. His name's not Shingun.
Ime Udoka.
Yeah,
I call him I'm.
Yeah, because I ain't fucking with that shit. So I do like him as a coach, and what I look for when I say I like him is who I respect as NBA coaches are the ones who, yes, they're not going to win a title when they don't have their superstars, but they're getting the most. They're getting teams into the playoffs. Listen, Houston shouldn't have been probably the 2 seed. I mean, they're a deep team, they're a young team, but Green is not that. I mean, he's okay and he can be good at times, but I think the great Charles Barkley said, he's one of those guys that you look at him and you go, oh man, he averages 22 points a game. Well, yeah, he had 40 last night and he had 10 the night before, next night. Yeah, of course he's averaging 22 a game. The good ones never get less than 20 points on average. And he's not that player. And then that's fine. And I think that, but Kerr is a guy who, if he doesn't have the talent, he's not going to do anything. They're not going to win. They're going to suck. And that's not, to me, when I talk about great coaches in the NBA, and I think about guys like a Rick Carlisle who did outcoach a coach I do think is good despite having all the talent, and Eric Spoelstra in 2010 with Dallas. Now that's coaching to me. And with Eric Carlisle and Jenny Hooch, Jennifer, what's Jenny's last name? Jennifer. Yeah, what they're doing with this staff is good coaching. They're getting the most out of players and the team. And Larry Brown, too, who I idolized.
The thing is, the coach who wins without talent, whatever that means in the NBA, essentially.
I mean, it's getting to the playoffs and maybe the second round.
But, they will never win a championship unless there is an equal, I guess, drought of talent, if you will. I mean,
well, the 2000s being an example, as we talked about earlier, where the league was bottomed out in talent. You had 2 teams, and Detroit
took over. Literally,
Detroit became the first team to. While they do have probably 4 Hall of Famers on that roster, technically, none of those guys should have been in the Hall of Fame. In my version of Hall of Fame, none of them make it, and none of them are really super. No, God, no. I mean, really? Rip has the best chance, maybe. But yeah, none of them. But they're all good. But they were really good players, and they were a great team, and they were coached by a great team, and they beat a team that had Karl Malone and Kobe Bryant, and everybody else that they got from Miami and the Shaq deal and all that other shit. Beat them in a gentleman's sweep because Larry Brown was a better coach than Phil Jackson.
All right, fellas, let's get into this outro here. We've got to reach the hour and 30 mark. We've got a whopping 624 viewers in here right now. That's definitely a record.
Talking about the Timberwolves slept during the whole regular season. That makes sense.
It did.
I got no problem with that either. Like, because in the playoffs, because I've said it 100 times, I'll say it 100 more. NBA playoffs is different style of basketball. And once you get you want to avoid the matchups, and it's always great to have home court. But the regular season is just kind of a formality, and sometimes,
especially if you have like a roster that was like a continuity, like a roster that's had a lot of continuity on it, and you had playoff run together already, and you brought most of those players back. Obviously, they made a big trade with Cat and Randall, but I think just having your core guys and Nasir, Ant, McDaniels, your same coach, it makes it even easier to go coast when you know what you're capable of.
Again, there's only a few games difference between them and the 3 seed Lakers. So, I mean, I get that, and it makes sense. I mean, because some teams you have, like, that do go all out for regular season, and I can love to bring up stats and history. I can go through the league all through in my head and bring up, teams that had great seasons for 1 seed or a 2 seed, but then lost in the second round because they really did lack that star level player. And that's where I think OKC kind of still is, and I think Houston's kind of there now. But you're good young teams, lots of talent. Works out for 82 games, but it's the playoffs, different world, man. That's the Cosby. This is a different world. That's a reference for you old people out there.
Shout out to you viewers out there and the people in the chat commenting. Shout out to my boy Jaquar. Shout out to Bring Brom Home guy. Shout out to Phil. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. 630 people in here right now. We've got a couple people from YouTube, a couple people from Twitch, and then obviously Rashawn. Shout out to Rashawn letting us use his X Premium account to send this stream to Twitter, which is why we've got the 627 of you in here. So really appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys so much for coming to watch us and getting to hear us banter all this NBA playoff talk. We're gonna get Mr. Nasir back on as well. He had some technical difficulties, but he'll be a regular on the NBA Real Spill show, a co-host, as are Trevor and Will. Fellas, is there anything else? I think we pretty much touched on everything. There wasn't obviously we didn't get into the technical foul stuff with Draymond. We probably could have touched on that, but we more so wanted to give our talks on the teams and where they're at right now and where we think they're headed. So we're probably going to get back out here when these series kind of get to where we know where they're headed outside of the series that are on path to a game 7 potentially. If the first series ends, we'll probably get back out on the airwaves, but might get out on the weekend here just to make it a little bit earlier before then if some craziness happens. Trevor, Will, anything else I missed? Anything else?
We should go to the Pacer Cavs game. Fuck it.
We should. We should look at some game 4 tickets.
It's game 3's on Friday though, right?
Yeah. I think the last playoff game I went to was 2012 game 3, second round, where Pacers were up 2-1 and could have gone 3-1 on Miami, and LeBron had a triple-double, and Pacers lost in overtime, and I sat in traffic for 5 hours to get out of there.
That's tough. That's tough.
That's the same day that I did pee off a bridge, though. That's a story for another night.
If we do that, we'll definitely do some vlog. We'll try to get a little vlog stuff up happening if we can maybe find some tickets. But thank you guys so much for joining. Like, comment, and subscribe onto our YouTube channel if you haven't. Follow our Twitter at Real Spill Podcast, Real Spill Pod. Follow the TikTok at Real Spill Pod and Instagram as well if you want, Real Spill Pod. Or don't follow any of them if you don't want to. It's not that big of a deal. You'll see the tweets when we go live, and you can just join up and watch. But if you enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe so you can get the notifications when we go live. If you want to sponsor the show, let us know.
I mean, I don't care if you're up 45 points with 2 minutes to game. Why are you leaving? You're the home crowd. Stay and enjoy it. You know what, Thunder fans? Fuck the Thunder fans. There's a fan base I've never been more annoyed by.
Man, they're going home, getting ready for work.
They're bandwagon douchebags who fucking stole.
Got work.
Come on. I mean, if it's a close game, you know they're not leaving. That's a good fan base.
You ever been to Oklahoma City?
OKC gets loud for their crowd.
No.
And their fans actually wear the shirts. You know.
True. Everybody puts the shirt on, and I love that. Because in LA, you couldn't pay them to wear the shirts in LA.
That's not that. Will, now to be fair, I've been to many playoff games. In fact, I still have my gold swagger blue shirts. I couldn't wear those. They only put them out in XL. Okay. So that's not fair to say that they're at least wearing the shirts. That's just because they're a bunch of skinny douchebags, okay? Us real fans can't wear an XL.
Not in Oklahoma.
That's the truth. And I've been to Oklahoma City. The only reason Oklahoma City is great is because Tulsa sucks more.
Oklahoma is kind of
it's a garbage town.
If you're from Tulsa and watching, it's all jokes. We love all of our Oklahoma.
Love Oklahoma.
Louisville should have a team, not Oklahoma City. I'm hating. Yeah, what are the 6 people in Oklahoma City going to be pissed off at me? Bring it.
We might have some Oklahoma fan viewers. We're not hating. Trevor is.
I
Real
am.
Pod,
Shay
the Real
is
Spill Pod supports all states.
Except Mississippi.
Fellas, thank you guys so much.
Don't worry, they don't have the internet.
Thank you guys so much. It sucks. I keep adding to the outro, and then we keep adding viewers. There's more viewers than before now. It's kind of unfortunate, but this is definitely an all-time record here at 637 viewers. Feels really weird to have this many people watching the live show, but thank you guys so much. If you want to sponsor the show and have your name said every 20 minutes, or have a segment named after you, feel free to reach out. Send us a DM. Very, very, very cheap sponsor prices. So.
For $5, I will call you and leave you a voicemail why I hate you.
But that's all jokes. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy. That's going to wrap up this stream. Fellas, thank you so much. We'll be back on here in a few days. We'll see you.